The Israel Institute of New Zealand has come out with a new poll that shows overwhelming support for Israel being a Jewish majority state, with more than 4 times as many people supporting that than were against it, and that cut across age, gender, location, and even party lines. And I think at a time when there's been record immigration from places around the world to the ancestral home of the Jewish people, Israel, that to know that only 13% of New Zealanders are against Israel being a Jewish state is really reassuring. That clear support for Israel is really also showing a disconnect between what everyday New Zealanders are telling us and what the politicians and the media have been talking about Israel. Unfortunately, there's been some bias against Israel from our politicians, and that was really shown in the co-sponsorship of United Nations Security Council Resolution 2334 in December. The Israel Institute of New Zealand also asked about what New Zealanders thought should have happened with that vote, and the results are really interesting. The majority of Kiwis were really not sure what New Zealand should have done, and there was only a minority who thought that New Zealand should have co-sponsored that resolution. And so when we think about how there can be such strong support for Israel and a real unsureness about how New Zealand should have voted at that Security Council resolution, I think what it says is that people don't truly understand what the United Nations Security Council 2334 was really about. The media and the politicians talked a lot about settlements, but the controversial aspects of that resolution were really about the denial of the Jewish presence in Jerusalem by talking about the holiest places in Judaism being not Jewish, and by going further than any other resolution in redrawing boundaries to effectively take away any reason for negotiations, and also because there was no explicit condemnation of Palestinian terror. And that's plainly unfair. And that's why Canada, that's why the United States, and that's why Australia, our traditional allies and countries who have had long-standing policies like we have, spoke out against it. Unfortunately, New Zealand changed tack and joined Venezuela and Senegal and Malaysia to push the resolution through. And because New Zealand joined those very non-democratic countries in co-sponsoring what is a biased resolution, Israel withdrew the ambassador from New Zealand. It was only until Jerry Brownlee came in and wrote to the Prime Minister of Israel expressing regret for the fallout from that co-sponsorship that the Israeli ambassador was returned. And so with a better understanding of what the text of that resolution meant, and with these results that have come out from the Israel Institute of New Zealand, given that there's an election year coming up, I think that it'll be interesting to see which political parties take on board what the New Zealand public are telling them.